Parents, have you ever had your children ask you about politics? What's going on the news? What's going on in yard signs? Who does God tell us to obey, and why should we obey them?
When we think about politics, we have to go to this idea of authority. In fact, Romans 13 talks about how government is actually a minister on God's behalf. And one of the things that God gives to government is legitimate authority. And authority is not bad. God gives different types of authorities for different reasons. He gives us individually the conscience as an authority. He gives us parents as an authority. And then one of those other authorities that God gives is the law, is the government. And it's there for our good to act as a safeguard for us to act reasonably within society. When we step outside, when we get in a car, we need to be able to reasonably trust that our interactions in society will be peaceful. And that is going to be administered through the reality of law and government. If we don't have government, what results is what happened in the book of Judges, is that everyone did what is right in their own eyes, which is chaos, anarchy, relativism. And there are always going to be prudential debates about what types of laws the government should pass. And we can have those debates. But what we should affirm is that government is good. It is there for our welfare. It's there to make sure that every single individual in society is protected under the law, that criminals and evildoers are penalized, and that all of the various elements in society are able to cooperate and work together so that the common good of society can be reached.
And when you're talking to children about politics, first you need to make sure that they understand that God is actually in charge of everything. He is in charge of everything that's happening here on earth and in heaven. And he's ultimately the ultimate king and ruler. And while we're here on earth waiting for him to come back and make a new heavens and a new earth, he's given us the charge that we are to obey our earthly rulers. The government is actually a really good thing. It provides laws and policies that help protect its citizens. It helps to allow individuals to thrive. It helps to help our neighbors to be cared for. It helps communities to prosper. And that's all called the common good. And God tells us to love our neighbor. And so if we are to love our neighbor, then we should care about those policies and laws. And we should care what the government is doing to help those around us. So we should get involved in our local government. We should care about what's happening in the communities around us. If you're a parent, you should take your child, your small children with you to vote. You should allow them to watch the things that are going on the television, talk about the yard signs that you see. Help them to get involved in what's going on in your neighborhoods. If you have a child that's 18, help them to register to vote. Help them to know what's happening in the civics around you. Help your children to care about the politics that are happening in your world. And help them to be kind about the leaders in our world today by talking about them respectfully, even if you don't agree with their policies and their politics, by you first being a good example of talking about our earthly leaders with kindness and respect. So parents, be a good example first and foremost yourself by being involved in politics and by being respectful of our leaders, and also be a good example of helping them to get involved themselves. God wants us to honor the government, so parents, be a good model first at home.